up, guys? Autofanatic. So it is 1 year of ownership of my 2018 Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. As you see in the intro of the video, I did a hell of a lot of comprehensive content on this car, not only from general maintenance, modifications, brake testing, tire testing, suspension tuning, carbon fiber enhancements, you pretty much name it. I feel that I think I've touched upon every single aftermarket and OEM type performance modification you could do in this car. The reason I did that is because I'm in the business of modifying cars for most of my adult life, and I already felt that this car was so exceptional as it is from the factory that it left very, very little to be done to the car to make it even more exceptional. And like I said in all my videos, every single modification that I've done to my car has just made the car that much more enjoyable to drive, that much more driver enhancing experience from someone that's very performance oriented in what he likes in a car. The way these cars come from the factory, you know, they'll probably be great for 99% of the owners that are going to go out and buy them. But for someone that wants a car that's more responsive, more compliant, better suspension, better handling, better steering feedback, better braking, more practical tires to drive daily, especially as a daily driver, I think every single modification that I did on this car just hit it out of the park. Because a lot of times you can modify cars and then things could go downhill real quick, especially on a very, very good car. You could lower it, the car could bounce all over the place, the chassis won't react well. You could change the tires, the car won't feel the same. You can modify the brakes, the car will totally stop like crap. You know, there's just so many little give and take trade-offs with modifying any kind of car today. So the fact that this platform, FCA spent billions of dollars, not millions, but billions of dollars producing the Giorgio platform, and coming from someone that works on cars, modifies cars, and specifically has been around Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, Porsche, and all the other exotic brands since the early 1990s, I will tell you this now, that this particular Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio is the absolute best driving, best built performance sedan in the world that you could buy for under $100,000. This is not classified as a super sedan, like a mega horsepower sedan, like an E63S or the new BMW M5. Completely different cars, completely different category. But I will tell you one thing now. You could go out and buy those M5s, you could go buy those E63s. I've owned them all, I've driven them all, I've modified them all. There's not one car that you're gonna buy that's gonna give you more engagement, more fun, and put a smile on your face every single time you fire up the start button than the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. Now, a lot of people comment on my videos, they think that these cars are totally unreliable and they're pieces of junk. They obviously don't know cars, they obviously don't work on cars, and the guys that actually think that Alfa Romeo now is a piece of junk is going back from the historical era when they were pieces of junk. But you also got to understand now too, Audi and a lot of manufacturers had many very bad times in their history, but a lot of people seem to forget about that. And if anybody is old enough to go back, Audi in the early, mid to 1980s, they were some of the worst German cars you could buy. They were driving through people's houses and nobody wanted to buy an Audi. Now today in the Northeast and parts of the world, everybody loves Audi and they swear by them. So it's just one of those things. It's going to take some time for Fiat, Chrysler, America, and Alfa Romeo to build up that, you know, that recognition. But I'll tell you right now, no car manufacturer is going to spend billions of dollars and put out a junk product. It's not happening. They grabbed some of the best engineers from Maranello, from Ferrari. This car was aerodynamically perfected in the Ferrari F1 wind tunnel. Now, show me another car that you could get, mass-produced car, that was done like that. Now, the reason I say it's aerodynamically perfected, out of every car that I've ever owned, and a lot of highways that I drive in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, there's a lot of crosswinds. And all of the other sedans that I've had, high horsepower sedans, they would tend to wander whenever there was a crosswind. The Alfa Romeo Giulia with the active aerodynamics, which is all visible in the fronts, excuse the leaves because it does collect a lot of leaves, this car is the most stable at high speeds on any windy day. That just proves that the active aerodynamic was properly designed, and this car slices through the air like a knife through butter. So, I mean, every single time I get into this car, I smile. Every single time I get out of the car, I want to get back in the car, okay? This is the type of car, from someone like me that loves cars, I take the long way home. I actually find an excuse to take a longer route to go somewhere else. I actually don't even use the navigation. 1 year that I've owned this car, I have never turned on the navigation once. I literally will rather just find my way and leave early just so I can spend more time driving this car. Okay, that just shows you how awesome this car really is. I love this car every single day that I get in it. It is the absolute best decision out of any car that I've ever bought and owned in the last 27 years as far as high performance, daily driver, and functional vehicle that you could possibly get. Now, the car is not perfect. There's some things about it that I'll talk about, little quirks and stuff that annoy me, but to be honest with you, it's really not that bad, and it's really, really minor nuances. For one thing, like I just showed you, the front of the car collects a hell of a lot of leaves, especially this time of year in the fall. Not a huge deal, but to be honest with you, it's just one of those things where most cars, you don't really get that. But in this particular car, the way the wind is channeling through the front of the car into the chassis, you get a lot of stuff that builds up into the front nose. Now, also in the back of the car, with the rear underbelly diffusers and the panels on the bottom of the car, it collects about 15 pounds of gravel every 6 months, and I recommend that you undo the panel and clean that out by hand. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass because there's a lot of fasteners on there, but it's just one of those things that I just recommend that you do, otherwise you're gonna get a lot of chatter of all those rocks. Now, the Pirelli Corsa tires that this car comes with are phenomenal tires. The only reason I changed them is because I feel for the New York roads, I want a stiffer sidewall. So with the Corsa tire, it's a very soft, sticky tire, but it has a very soft sidewall. Soft sidewall in New York leads to bent wheels very easily. Now, I had my wheels refinished for a reason. They got destroyed with all the rocks that got kicked up from the Pirelli Corsas, and you guys could go back and watch that video as well. So I feel the Michelin Pilot Super Sports in OEM size is probably the best alternative to the Pirelli Corsa tire. I highly recommend it. I've been driving on them every day. Cold temps, rain, you name it, and they just work phenomenal. So you can't go wrong with that. So if anybody's on the fence about the tire selection, Michelin Pilot Super Sports is the tire of choice that I'm going to recommend to you guys as well. Now, the braking system on this car, IBS, Continental Intelligent Braking System. It's not the greatest, but this is where technology is going. My brand new Corvette C8 that I have on order is also a brake-by-wire system. So this is where automotive manufacturing and technology is going. So we're going to have to get used to it, and guys like me are going to have to figure out ways to make the cars feel more natural and brake and perform the way I'm used to. So the most important upgrade that I could tell anybody that's got an Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio or a Stelvio Quadrifoglio, immediately pull out the brake pads. If you don't have carbon ceramic brakes and you got steel brakes, pull out the brake pads immediately and watch my videos and see how easy it is to do yourself, and it's going to make a substantial difference as far as the feel of the car and how it is daily driving, and it's not going to lunge in traffic, and it's not going to make you feel nervous, especially when you go in high speed. So that's like a mandatory must. Now, another thing too, I lower the car. The 2018 cars sit like 4x4s. Too damn high. The 2017 sit a little bit lower, but still not low enough. Here's the situation. This chassis is so damn good, but the way it comes from the factory, it sits too high, and you have no negative camber. You had pretty much zero camber in the front of the car. So one of the first modifications I did, you go back on my channel, you watch that, aside from doing the X-pipe to open up the exhaust a little bit more, because I just think the engine sounds so damn good, I just wanted to get some more tone into the cabin of the car, and I accomplished that really, really easily with the Centerline Alpha X-pipe, and that's another mod that I highly recommend. So regarding the suspension, I did a KW by ST Springs. Now, KW, I feel, is one of the best suspension manufacturers in the world. They do a lot of stuff OEM for a lot of big supercar manufacturers as well. So the reason why I chose KW is because they have a multi-post chassis rig at their factory, pretty much the way they develop Indy and Formula One race cars. Not many manufacturers do that. They develop springs in a computer modeling aided design, and then they just make a one-size-fits-all progressive rate spring. You put it in the car, it bounces all over the place, and it feels absolutely horrible. Now, by dropping the car to where it is here, the car has about a negative 1.6 degree negative camber and about 1.8 in the rear. The change that this made to the car is phenomenal. Quicker steering, better turn-in, better grip. That steering got a little bit sharper and tighter, and it just makes the car just feel so different. So light on its feet, so direct, and so tenacious as far as when you're going into a backcountry road, you upshift, you downshift with the ZF 8-speed transmission in race mode, and this car, all it does is just deliver smiles and thrills every single time you input your throttle, your steering, and your braking. But like I said, you guys gotta do a lot of the modifications that I'm talking about, and they're very non-invasive, they're very simple to do, but what it's going to reward you is a much better driver engagement experience, and you're going to enjoy this car so much more. Now, as far as things on the outside of the car, I already mentioned that the front of the car collects a lot of debris, the rear diffuser collects a lot of rocks, and the Pirelli Corsa tires destroy your rims in the bottom of your car. Another thing that I came up with, and these are listed on my web store right now, are the autofanatic front splash guards. Very simple, do-it-yourself mod. I made 200 sets of those. They're going to be sold on the autofanatic website, and I will put a link in the description below in this video. Also, every single video that I did on the Alfa Romeo, whether it's my Giulia Quadrifoglio or my Stelvio TI Sport, I'm going to put every single link to all my Alfa Romeo content in the description of this video. For anybody that's new to my channel and has never seen any of my videos before, I really suggest you take the time and go through all of my content. And I think if you're on the fence about buying one of these cars, I think this is going to change your mind dramatically. Now, another thing that I did when I lowered the car, I custom made spacers, and we make these in-house, okay? And you guys can see that there. And I have the Centerline Alpha titanium stud kit, which reduces unsprung weight, and it just looks so freaking badass. And I absolutely just love it. Now, by doing the spacers, also you're going to increase the track width, which makes the car more stable. It makes the car aesthetically look a lot better. If you lower the car without the spacers, it just doesn't look right. It looks like the wheels are too small for the car, and you just got to do that immediately. And I also have those in the autofanatic web store as well for sale. Besides that, on the exterior of the car, every time I wash the car, which drives me nuts, and I'm going to throw some photos in the video right now, no matter what I do, I blow out the door jambs, I dry them out with towels. Every time on the bottom rocker panel area from the front of the car to the back, it always drips water between 1 to 2 hours after I wash the car. Doesn't matter if I use a garden hose, doesn't matter if you use a pressure washer, it just doesn't have a very good watertight weather stripping seal. Whereas on German cars, I feel on a Mercedes or BMW, it's just done a little bit better. Now, it might be an isolated incident just with my car, but to be honest with you, some of my friends and clients have complained about the same thing as well. I just think it's one of those little things that they should just perfect, and it probably will get addressed along the next refresh of the production cycle for 2020 or 2021, but it's just something that annoys me. Now, let's move over to the inside of the car. I'll just talk a little bit more about the interior. So we're in the interior of my car. Now, I have owned Recaro sports seats in almost all of my cars since the late 1990s, okay? Whether it was from an AMG, BMW, Jaguar R, Shelby, Mustang, whatever, I've had them all, even the Cadillac CTS-V. I will tell you now, the absolute best, and I tell you now the best seats that I've ever had in my life are the Sparco carbon fiber seats in the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. They have the ultimate style. Now, Italian cars are always known for style. That's just, you know, everything with Italian design, whether it's art, whether it's automotive, fashion, they are some of the pioneers of design. So when you look into the cabin of my car and you see all the carbon fiber appointments throughout the cabin, you see the double stitch Poltrona Frau leather with the deviated red stitching, and then all of a sudden when you look through the windows of the car and you see the Sparco fixed back carbon fiber racing seats, I mean, it's just like it hits it out of the park. It basically identifies this car as a high performance Italian sedan, and also really identifies this car as the Quadrifoglio variant, which is their highest performance variant in the model range. If my particular car did not have the Sparco carbon fiber seats, I would not have bought this car. Aesthetically, on all the high-performance super sedans that I've ever owned, I always upgrade to the high-performance racing seats. I just think it takes a very basic cabin, and it really, really jazzes it up enough that when you look into the car and you're in the car daily, you know that you're in a different type of vehicle and you're in more of a special variant. The standard seats, like I said, they just don't give you that aesthetic and that style. And that's one thing that I will add about the carbon fiber fixed back seats is the aesthetic and how it complements the design of the interior and the lineage of the Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio. I don't miss having fold down seats. I don't want all-wheel drive. I don't miss having all the high-tech gadgets that some of the German cars have. Even though the infotainment system is not the greatest and some of the tech is not the greatest, I still feel the car is exceptional because it's a driver-focused car. It's not there to hit bells and whistles. If you guys want bells and whistles and you want double iPad screens on your dash to go play with, go buy yourself a Tesla. This is not that car. The backup camera, it's got a very small screen like I'll show you here. It's about the size of a Post-it note. Like I said, I still rather have this than have a screen that's popping out in the middle of the dash that's very intrusive. That's what all the German cars have on every car today. Now, everybody wants to know what broke in the car in a year. Well, let me get back in the front of the car and I'll tell you. Now, when the car came to me from out of state, it got shipped to me, the screen on the dash had a crack, and I think it was done in prep, because I think this whole dash and everything is covered in plastic, and somebody went in there with, I think, a tool, and they pulled to try to get the plastic out, and they actually caused a delamination of the screen. It was covered under warranty. I told the dealership that had the car, don't worry about it, I'll get it done in New York, and that's what I did. So when the technician took the dash apart, he didn't do the greatest job. That's another thing I want to talk about with this car, is that the technicians at these dealerships, they're young kids, they don't have a lot of experience. That's one of the iffy things about Alfa Romeo right now. You got to be careful about your dealer network. I'm fortunate that I have a lot of dealerships in the tri-state area that I could go to, so if I have an issue, it's not really too big of an issue, because I know a lot of the service managers, I know a lot of people that went from Maserati and Ferrari that work there, and if I need a favor, I could get a favor. So that was the one thing that happened, and that was just done, I'm most likely, from prepping the car at the dealership months before I even bought it. Now, another thing that happens with this car, it is the absolute stupidest and most annoying thing in the world, is that the alarm will randomly go off in the rain or in the middle of the night. For some unknown reason, the alarm system just likes to freak out once in a blue moon. Doesn't make any sense why. Now, when I was a kid, we used to put aftermarket alarms in cars, and there used to be a proximity and shatterproof glass sensor, and we used to be able to adjust that with a little screwdriver. I have no idea why a modern car today has sensitivity issues with the alarm system. The dealership replaced, if you go up here, you see the overhead map light? Now, the overhead map light is where the sensor is for the alarm system. So when the car got to New York, there was a recall that this had to be replaced. So when I brought the car to the dealership, they fixed the screen and they replaced this. Now, since they replaced this, the alarm goes off every now and then. Maybe it'll happen once a month, maybe it'll happen twice a month. Prior to them changing this, it was happening every day. And everything was changed. It actually drained my battery. Now, what happens is when you drain your battery on an Italian car, some of the features don't work anymore. Everything in the car works except one feature. The one feature that I absolutely hate, right here. The automatic start-stop, right there, no longer works in my car, and I don't want to fix it. I don't want to go to the dealer. I don't want to put a new battery in. I don't want to reprogram anything. I don't ever want this to turn on. This drives me absolutely freaking insane. And the person and the individuals that mandated this for cars should be strangled. This is the stupidest thing to ever put on a performance car. I just can't stand it. Now, my battery voltage, maybe it's at 90%, not at 100%. I don't care. I drive the car all day long. This no longer works. I am not going to complain about it, but I just want to tell you guys, that's a permanent disable of my automatic start-stop, and that's one of the best things that's ever happened since I've owned this car, is that this no longer works. The car has been bulletproof. I have not broken down anywhere. I have never called roadside assistance. I've never had to do anything. All the other general maintenance, tires, brakes, suspension, oil changes. I did 3 oil changes on the car in the past year. I did it all myself. Like I said, it pretty much wraps up a year of ownership. This car is absolutely incredible. I love it. If you guys are on the fence or you don't know if you want to buy one, 2 things you got to ask yourself. Number 1, are you willing to take a chance? Number 2, do you really want a high-performance sedan in this segment, in this price point, and with this particular size of a car? Or do you need a bigger car? Do you need a CTSV? Do you want an M5? Do you want, an Audi RS7? Whatever you want, it's totally up to you, but you really have to decide what you want, because this car kicks freaking ass. As far as driving in the winter, it's not that great. I'm just going to be honest with you. It sucks. The car is not good in snow and ice, but with the Michelin Pilot Alpines, it drives phenomenal in the cold temps. With the electronic differential on this car, it doesn't work as good as some other cars like Jaguar, Ferrari and other manufacturers seem to do a better job. So when the car slips in the rain or in the snow and ice, it just takes a little bit of a delay for the other wheel to kind of spin in the opposing direction to kind of get the grip that you need and pull you out of a jam. So that's one thing that I don't like about the car, is I think the electronic programming for the electronic differential could be better, but it's one of those things where I think over time people may complain about it and they may do some sort of reprogramming or go to a different vendor and change the clutch packs in the electronic limited slip differential. But other than that, I don't recommend this car. I really don't recommend this car if you live in the snow belt. If you live in Chicago, you live in the Northeast, if you think you're going to drive this car in blizzard conditions, I will tell you now, don't even take a chance. You're going to get yourself killed. The traction control system is not designed for that. It's not a BMW. It's not a Mercedes. It doesn't have ESP. It has a very, very basic system when it comes to traction and anti-lock braking system. It's not similar to the German cars. But whereas a German car, you could throw a set of snow tires on it and you'll never get, if you get stuck, you don't know how to drive, plain and simple. But I drive this car in dynamic and I drive it in race mode most of the time. I don't like the N and the A modes. I just think that they pull too much of the driver experience out for me. And I didn't personally buy this car to save fuel economy and to chug around in traffic and, you know, kind of make it into a cruiser. That's not really why I bought this car. So just giving you a heads up, if you plan on driving it in the winter, you know, just be careful. You know, be very, very careful driving the car. I highly suggest too, if it does snow, go find an empty school parking lot and take the car in the parking lot and practice some of your driving skill and learn how to balance and control the car with your throttle. I actually have videos when I drove this car in the snow and I kind of show you how I did that with the throttle and I adjusted the tailspin and everything else because the car is so light that you got to be really, really careful. When this thing snaps loose, you better hold on and you better know how to drive because you're going to get into an accident real quick. And that's why you go online and social media and you see a lot of these cars wrecked. And it's really because people don't realize that it's not a BMW and it's not a Mercedes and it doesn't have all the driver's aids that's going to save your ass. So personally, that's what I like about it. I like the fact that it's a very analog, very driver-focused car. It doesn't have all that technology that kind of, you know, waters down the driving experience. And that's the reason why I love it every single day, and that's the reason why I still have it, aside from my brand new Shelby GT350R. I buy cars that really connect with me emotionally and physically, and they give me that ultimate driving experience for the dynamic and the tenacity that I want in a car because, you know, like I said, I work hard, and when I get in my cars, I want to enjoy it. I want to get that thrill out of it. And, you know, if the car doesn't do that all the time, I don't really want it. I want to get rid of it. But the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio puts a smile on my face every single day that I get in it. And I'm tired of talking about it right now. This is my 1-year ownership review. Car is awesome. Go out and buy one. Don't even hesitate. If you guys have questions, you can always reach out to me. Meet up with me direct in my office in New York, and we'll go for a test drive. And I'll tell you right now, you'll be sold. As soon as you go for a ride in my car, you drive my car. So hope you guys like my Alfa Romeo content that I put out for this past year. I really enjoyed doing it. There's going to be a lot more. I'm going to be doing some modifications to my Stelvio as well as time goes on. But that's another thing. I'm going to be doing an ownership update of that as well. I mean, these cars are so damn good. The chassis are so good. The steering is the best you're ever going to get. Mercedes and BMW and Audi will never, ever match that front-end feel and the steering experience that this car has. And that's why this car is special. And that's why I'm telling you now, before something goes bust and they stop making this car or some other merger happens with Alfa Romeo and then they become, you know, something else that they're not really what they are right now, I think you're going to be very, very disappointed. You're going to be left out behind in the cold because this car may not happen again. We don't know where the future is of the brand, but this is kind of a special thing right here that we got some of the best Maranello engineers and they put it into this nice little, I call it a 4-door pocket rocket. It's fast as hell, rides phenomenal. It's got one of the best chassis that I've ever owned in my life. And every time that I get in it, I really feel that I'm inside of a Ferrari. And I get to drive all of the modern Ferraris, and I've worked on them for years. It's got the same quirks, same nuances, the same ride quality, the same steering, and it gives you almost all the same feedback from like a 458 or 488 GTB, Ferrari California, Ferrari Portofino. Go out and drive those cars. Spend, you know, a couple of weeks in them, a couple of months in them like I have, you know, when I'm working on them for customers' cars. And then you get into this, it's like, I tell you, if you don't know what kind of badge is on the car, you don't really know if you're in a Ferrari or an Alfa Romeo. So, see you guys soon. Please like, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned to the AutoFanatic channel for more automotive content. And like I said, please visit the AutoFanatic web store. Anybody that's got an Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, and pick up a set of the AutoFanatic splash guards and the AutoFanatic custom wheel spacers and anything else I have in my web store as well. I appreciate all the support. And like I said, don't be scared of this car. For all the people that are saying stupid things and how unreliable and how bad they are, you guys need to get a reality check and go visit a BMW, Mercedes, and Audi service center. And you're going to count hundreds of cars in that service center, and you're going to go walk over to an Alfa Romeo dealer, and you're probably going to see like 4 or 5 in there for like stupid little quirks or maybe oil changes. So that just shows you how good this platform is, because it's not overloaded with stupid tech. It's not overdone with you know, all this computerization and stuff that pretty much waters down the driving experience. It's a very analog car, has a very, very proven architecture, and I'm gonna get back in the car right now and drive, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon for the next AutoFanatic video, and set your notifications through YouTube, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm gonna go back in there and drive.